Hey everyone, it's Matt with Charting Mastery. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are going to take a look today at SQQQ and how to time your entries into SQQQ using three simple, easy to understand indicators. And again, if you're enjoying some of the content we're providing, please do subscribe to the channel and also head over to our website, new website, followwallstreet.com. Sign up for the free twice monthly newsletter that will alert you to where Wall Street is rotating their funds into, what sectors they're rotating their funds into on a month-over-month basis, so you can increase your risk-adjusted returns and trade a bit more profitably by following Wall Street's lead, sort of ignoring what the media is saying and just going on what the charts are telling you. So that's followwallstreet.com. Up on the screen here, we've got a 4-hour chart of SQQQ. We're going to be taking a look today at how to enter into SQQQ using these particular indicators below. What you want to be doing is choosing your indicators that we have here, which is, please ignore the stochastics RSI just for the present moment, but choose slow stochastics with a setting of 37.5, PPO histogram and a PPO signal line of 12.26.9, and an ADX with a setting with a DI plus and DI negative with a setting of 13. Now again, the DI plus line is the green line, DI negative line is the red line, and this indicates presence of buyers if it's green, presence of sellers if it's red. And so what we're going to do is we're going to just really quickly touch upon the fact that right now we're in a risk-on environment in the stock market. So that means there's risk to buying and holding SQQQ to the long side at the moment, meaning that the momentum to the downside is greater. There's more potential for downside to SQQQ at the time of the creation of this video than there was back in earlier 2022, and kind of you'll see why that right now is not a great time to enter into SQQQ, but it may be over the next several weeks. There might be a particular entry point that'll work for us. We're going to take a look at what the indicators are telling us. But right now, risk on, meaning SQQQ could drop actually, and if it's a risk off environment like a lot of 2022, you can see there was a lot of upside potential to SQQQ because the market was in a risk off environment, it was in a fear environment. SQQQ goes up when the NASDAQ goes down. And so again, just remember that SQQQ is a leveraged ETF, so your gains are triple to the upside, but they're also triple to the downside. So do be careful when you are using SQQQ. So what we're actually going to do first is head over to early 2020, or mid 2020, I should say, early or mid 2020, when it was a risk-on environment, meaning there was downside potential to SQQQ. But if you were still looking to enter in, what would you be looking for? So this is a period of time when the markets were going up, which means SQQQ had a greater propensity to head down. And so I'm just going to get out a marking tool here, and what you can see is this was a particular entry. Yes, hindsight is 2020. We can obviously tell what was happening here. We could see now that we're not in this particular this moment in time anymore, we can see that SQQQ did rise. But what were we looking for? Had we noticed that SQQQ was falling, we'd be looking for a rise across above 0.2 on the slow stochastics. We want to be seeing the PPO histogram at green turning a positive. We want to see a crossover of the PPO signal line, and then we want to see a crossover of the DI plus line, which is the green line, over the DI negative line. We also want to be making sure that the moving average that we have set on our chart of 18 has flattened out. That's very important. You don't want to be entering into SQQQ when the 18-day, or the 4-hour 18 is in a declining position. You want to make sure it's at least flat or slightly headed to the northeast position. And if you were to enter into here, you want to be setting your stop loss below the last low, so below the price bars of the last dip. All right. A little bit of a risky entry because, again, ADX was, the momentum to the downside, as you can see, was so strong here that this indicates that this would have been a high risk entry. It's one that you might have gotten stopped out for break even. You want to make sure your stop is trailing you. As soon as you pop above and start to make start to go into positive territory with your trade, you want to be raising that stop loss to break even, and then as it climbs, you want to have that stop loss follow you or choose your entry. This particular tactic that we're showing you here allows you to not have to watch the charts, hour over hour. You really want to be kind of monitoring it once a day. That could actually work for you. You can still enter in late, but again, the later you are in your entry, the greater your potential loss is over here. So just again, that's what you'd be looking for if you were to enter when the when the stock was falling. So let me just kind of fast forward a little further down here through now we're in 2021. We had sort of this warning that the market direction was going to be changing with this emotional spike to the upside, which indicates a lot of fear creeping into the market as of February of 2021. So what we'll be looking for here is the same exact thing. You want to be looking for the 18 starting to kind of cup around or go flat. You want to be looking for a crossover of the slow stochastics above 0.2. You want to be looking at the histogram turning positive. You want to look for a signal line crossover, and you want to look for that nice crossover of the DI plus line to DI negative, and then here you get confirmation on the ADX that the momentum of that particular spike up in SQQQ is genuine. You want to set your stop loss here. So I hope that makes sense. We're going to actually hop now into one or two examples for 2022. Whoops. Let me just fast forward here. So again, hindsight 2020, we can see how well things did. We want to make sure that you see the slow stochastics. You want to see it kind of in this quiet period. You want to see it SQQ declining. You want to see the stochastics really come down to a quiet period of time below 0.2. You want to see the PPO line also below 0. But again, same things we'd be looking for here is a crossover of the slow stochastics after it got to an extreme low. You want to see a PPO histogram turn positive, signal line crossover, and then a DI plus line crossover here. 18 started to cup around. You could choose your entry here, or if you wanted to wait for that pullback to the 18, you could do there and set your stop loss initially here, and as you begin to rise, do your trailing stop loss to break even, and then off you go. And then we'll hop into one more example for 2022 so you can kind of see a very clear example of a good entry. Really, you can choose any. We'll just choose this one here, which was April. Why don't we choose actually the one that was here in August? And what you're going to see is the same pattern. You had a declining price action. You had the 18 initially declining. You want to be at that point monitoring slow stochastics to get nice and quiet at an extreme low. PPO signal line is down here. But again, this would tell you that there's no entry point available to you because the DI negative line was so high. ADX was high as well, indicating the momentum of the sellers was present, indicating there wasn't really an entry point. But as the 18 started to cup around, yes, the price crossed above it, but you want to see that kind of cupping or flattening out of the 18, and then you had that crossover the slow stochastics, you had a PPO turn positive, you had your signal back here, but again, you had that sort of momentum of the PPO line telling you that all is well. You had a crossover, you had actually a crossover here of the DI plus line to DI negative. The fact that the momentum was declining was a little unnerving. However, you had that nice confirmation that all was well when the ADX started to go. And again, as you chose your entry either here or here, you want to set your stop loss here and off to the races you go. And so lastly, we'll just talk about today and where we are. Again, whoops. You're going to see that the downside risk is real for SQQQ. So there really isn't a great entry point, in my opinion, based upon the risk-to-reward ratio. So the reward-to-risk ratio set up right now, you want to be looking for probabilities. You want to be looking for a good setup, a good reward-to-risk ratio. And right now, I just don't see it on a 4-hour chart, and I'll tell you why. So here we are. Whoops. Here we are. 18 has been declining. We started to have a cup around here, but this choppiness of the slow stochastics, we weren't really happy with this at all. It just wasn't telling us that there was a nice quiet period. We want to see the slow stochastics drop down. We weren't really getting a good signal here with the PPO histogram turning positive. We had some choppiness. It really just wasn't anything that we'd be interested in. We didn't really have a solid crossover here of the DI plus line. It was too choppy. We want to be seeing this 18 head down. This is most likely going to cross above at some point over the next few weeks or months, and then at that point we're going to be looking for that crossover to the upside of the slow stochastics above 0.2. We want to see this PPO line start to turn up, PPO histogram turn positive. We want to see a DI plus line turn above the DI negative line, as well as the ADX get going. At that point we'd be looking to set a stop somewhere around 30, assuming this pattern plays out this way, we'll be setting a stop loss somewhere around the 30, 32, 35, and then off you go. So again, that's how you time your entry using these 3 tools into SQQQ. Do be careful out there. Head over to followwallstreet.com and sign up for that twice free monthly newsletter to give you an idea of where Wall Street is rotating their funds into to help you better allocate your funds into the market sectors that Wall Street is rotating into. So thanks again for tuning in, and be careful out there. Take care.